Stars, I'm a fool for your love.
Hi everybody, we are back doing trading in the summer. It's been a little while since I've updated anything on the channel. But we mainly are inactive during the winter, during the spring because of school. It's kind of just focus on school instead of trying to trade because you gotta prioritize. So, actually, during the school year, I do focus on backtesting and reviewing past data. I'm not completely off the charts, but I actually never stop learning, and that's one of the big things that traders need to do is never stop learning. Even when it becomes difficult, you need to push through. But we're gonna go ahead and review some of our trades this week. It's actually only Wednesday, so we're only gonna go over like a handful. We're gonna go over like two or three maybe. Let's go ahead and discuss today's trades. We took two trades. We actually took three. One of them's a paper trade, which is this one, but I'm gonna get back to that one here in a second. So as you can see, the market, huge jumps today off CPI news. Now, it can be stressful, can be a little bit difficult trading during the news, so I kind of ideally with my strategy, wait for the big movements to stop so I can hop in, catch reversals, catch these trades that I ideally want to be a part in. So let's talk about some confluences here. We have the 4-hour chart creating higher highs, higher lows, giving us a very strong bullish sentiment. And we're going to go back to the 5-minute chart, which is our strategy that we use. We use a 5-minute demand supply strategy. So we needed to fill in these gaps that have been left from when the market reacted to the news. And as you can see here, this was our first trade this morning. It was about 9:30 that we hopped in at on this trade. And it actually wasn't a demand or a supply setup. It was actually a head and shoulders setup. And let's discuss this a little bit more. So when price actually came up here, into this area, we wanted to wait for some type of reaction. We knew that market obviously didn't come up to take these highs, indicating to me that maybe price will come down, reverse, and fill in these gaps down below. At some point, I knew that was going to happen, but however, we had a nice exit point and we took the profit anyway. So we waited for an entry when price actually broke this swing low right here under this bearish candle. That's when we got in. We call this a break of candle entry, actually. A break of candle entry is actually typically used as a confirmation entry to when price reacts to a certain area or zone and then begins falling the other way or the way that you want it to go to. So that's what happened here. We got this set up. We got our break of candle entry, which is actually going to be right here, where price actually broke both of these candles. We hopped into a sell and actually trail stopped our loss. Because price actually broke this swing low right here and started to reverse. So we actually placed our trail stop right here, and at the time this was the high of the candle, because if we hit our stop loss, which was at the top of this candle at the time, we knew that there could be a possibility that price came back up here to the supply zone, in here, where we could also get in again. But as you can see, our trail stop got triggered, price didn't react to this supply zone, and it just reversed to the downside. But anyway, we secured a pretty nice trade, a 3-to-1, which I think on the small account it was 30%. So I don't know if you guys remember, but we did do building a live account challenge. That's what we're doing right now. We're starting from a very small amount, building it up to 100. So on the week, I think we're up, or not on the week, the past 2 weeks we're up 80% on the live account. And we can actually, I was thinking of doing some live trading sessions. So if that's something you guys might be interested in, let me know. I'll definitely do those. Those sound fun. But anyway, price action managed to fill in these gaps after a significant drop. This was our next setup. This was actually a paper setup because of the profit that we made in that one trade. and a British pound trade that we actually took earlier in the session. But we went ahead and highlighted this zone in here. This was our POI setup. So we actually set this area up before price actually even dipped down and filled in these gaps. So when there's a range of data before an expansion, we like to highlight the entire range. So as you can see, price ranged before reacting to CPI and it just took off. So we know that if price is able to fill in these gaps and come in touch to this demand zone, we knew that we're probably going to have a high probability of a reversal. Sorry. And as you can see, price reversed, took out my position for a profit on the demo account. Of course, we only use the demo account for experimental trades and paper trades when we are trading out of session. And I predominantly trade the first 2 hours of New York. Afterwards, the volume tends to die off. And I'm usually out of the market by the time 10 a.m. comes around. I've usually made my profit or I've made my loss or I'm done for the day. So I let people know about the setup earlier. I told them this was what I'm looking at. Pretty high probability that this trade would cash out. And as you can see, we got our entry. We actually set up this entry when price was right here. We set up our entry right here at the break of the candle, and we set our stop loss here at the bottom of the zone just because when price began to leave our zone and when price break the candle, we would just edit the stop loss to be at the bottom of the swing low, which was right here. So when price was breaking this candle, this is when I got triggered, and I placed my stop loss at the bottom of the swing. And then I simply just utilized this small supply zone in here. So price actually took me out right there at the beginning of that zone. So that was the area where I got out and where my order was filled. Again, the confluences were pretty similar. We filled in this gap. We have a range POI. We've got bullishness on both the 5-minute and the 4-hour time zones or time frames. So we were pretty confident that this trade had a high probability of hitting. As you can see, it closed out for a 1 to 2. Besides that, we're just going to examine those two trades. One of them was a supply and demand trade. The other one was a resistance for head and shoulders, but we have been making a lot of money recently. We've spent the past couple of years researching supply and demand, and kind of spending this past school year kind of just like cutting my edges, and really focusing on the rough edges of my trading game that I've found to kind of lose value or lose risk. So basically, I just spent the school year trying to figure out what are my weaknesses, what can I work on, and yeah, so it just seems to work out as long as you put in the work, as long as you put in the time to focus on your game, to focus on your mental game, you're gonna come out of this thing being profitable. So besides that, we just have a couple more. We're gonna go over this one. All right, this one was a very similar setup. We had demand here, and we actually did take a profitable trade here, taking that demand setup. We short scalped it because we were a little bit late into the market, and we were able to profit off that. But the big movement here last week was this trade right here, where price created a double top, generating a lot of liquidity. And when price double tops, the market is at some point going to take out these double tops. So with the confluences of how bullish the 5-minute and higher time frames have been, we knew that at some point price would liquidate these contracts that are residing above here, and that we could profit off that. So that was one of our biggest confluences here. When price actually fell and melted, we highlighted this demand zone. We highlighted this very important resistance point, and we actually waited a little bit for price to react to this zone. And when price started pulling away from the zone, I began and entered the market roughly above the demand here, placing our stop loss at the swing low, and then placing our take profit at the next zone or our next possible exit point. And we got a nice 2 to 1, 2.5 to 1 RR trade on that one. That was a really nice trade. Typically, our demand and supply strategy is a very conservative 1 to 1 to 1 to 2 strategy. But when you get something like this where you have gaps, where you have bullish sentiment, where you have double tops, you get stuff like that. You can definitely up your risk to reward ratio, but just making sure that you watch your risk management when it comes to lot sizing. That's going to be a big part. Because you're going to want to lower your lot sizes when it comes to higher R to R trades when it comes to supply and demand. So that was the basic analysis and overview on that one. It took about 15 minutes and I was out. Besides that, that's all I'm going to review. My voice is getting a little sore because I've done so many takes on this. I'm trying to just give you guys a solid understanding of what I'm looking at, how I'm profiting using my strategy. And if you guys want any help regarding my strategy, regarding supply and demand, I do have a rough draft document. It's about 11 pages. I'm going to put that at the bottom in the description so you guys can download it completely free. It goes over exit points, I believe, entry points, POIs, what I look for, and the basic overview of my strategy. I also have a bigger document which I've put a lot more time into organizing and providing as much data and analysis as I can. That one I believe is now at 24 pages. I do have that listed. Um, I will also list it below, but it is $20 just because of the amount of time that I put into it. I believe that the the information that I put in there is very valuable. And for $20, you're getting so much out of it because it's being constantly updated. It's being constantly just edited to be the best it can be. So you as traders can get the most out of it as possible. But anyway, that's gonna be it. It's a very simple video today. It was a very simple analysis, very simple trades. And we will be going over some other trades here in the future, maybe doing some live trading, maybe. But if that's going to be it. If you guys want to get into contact me regarding any questions, if you need help, that link will also be in the description. So until next time, I'll see you guys later.